started out so well. A great champion and the new legacy. The champ, Blair Morgan. The kid is Tucker Hibbert. Both skilled and daring. Both admiring of the other's talent. That was them. Well, this is the way it works now. Constant confrontation. It's turned from friendship to a feud. Blair Morgan and Tucker Hibbert are constantly at one another. If they get close on the track, the sparks will fly. The Winter Warriors are ready. Well, ESPN Speed World is on the air again, ready for coverage of WSA Snocross Worldwide, the Forest County Potawatomi 2001 Snocross Odyssey from Crandon. I'm Paul Page with Greg Kramer. The Lenko Snowmaking Report shows our temperatures just under freezing, blue skies, and a very light breeze. This is Pro Stock Last Chance Qualifying. There's the lineup.
See, again, a couple of major names in there. Vincent, Ekstrom. There were some problems in qualifying. These guys have to do it the hard way once again, Paul.
On the green flag. Brian Harmon comes squirting out of the middle. He takes the lead. Chris Vincent is following him. But Vincent gets into confrontation with somebody off to his right.
That was Ray Schlegel on the Arctic Cat right there in the far left. And you can see Ekstrom, a little bit of a bobble there. However, he's moved up nicely. There's Schlegel, sits in fourth. That's Nathan Titus behind him in fifth.
Dennis Ekstrom, the man to watch right now. Harmon's still in front. Then Vincent. But look at the charging sled down on the inside.
That was a huge move by Chad Marsalek, Paul. He's moved up a ton of ground. There's a good look at Harmon, but look at the cut low move by Ekstrom, and Vincent got squeezed into some bales. They're all over the track. That cost him.
Chris Vincent, who was without question in the fight going for the lead, now has fallen back. 7 laps to go. Remember, at the end of this run, 4 will move into the back row of the final. It's the race you don't want to run, and it's a race that Chris Vincent has been in way, way too much this season.
Yeah, many times he's had to come through this LCQ to make it for a variety of reasons, yet he always seems to do it and then put in a great race in the final. Maybe that's his MO for the year.
Well, if anybody is in the kind of physical shape necessary to do it, it's Chris Vincent. But once again, the wisdom of doing it isn't all that right. Ekstrom leads Harmon by just a few feet now, and Vincent has managed to get back in contact with the leaders from third.
Tell you what, 95 Chad Marsalek, Paul, has put on a brilliant drive. This young driver out of Wisconsin has come from back in the pack, and he now has moved up into that fourth and final transfer spot. Went by Titus. Titus now has lost that spot in fifth to Trevor John.
Nice view of Marsalek there as they came through the frame just a moment ago. Top 4, Ekstrom, Harmon, Vincent, Marsalek. 2 cats, 2 skidoos.
Dennis Ekstrom, once he found the front, has really put his stamp on this one. Got around Harmon when they got into those bales along with Vincent, and he's opened it up. And right here, good look at Chad Marsalek. This is one of the best drives we've seen out of him all season long.
Marsalek, that's Trevor John on the 85 sled just behind him, and John's starting to worry him. Whoa, look at him get air there.
Well, that's the commitment. If you're going to catch the guy, Trevor, believe me, knows he's got to get that next spot for him to be able to make the final. And we've seen him with some tremendously aggressive drives already this year, Paul. He loves this new Polaris. They're working great, and he's really after Marsalek.
And, you know, he's a guy who is probably looking to close pursuit there. Trevor John's a guy who's not yet totally Nathan Titus by the wayside. That's too bad.
Oh, you can see the frustration, too. He had a good run going, and it's all over.
But Trevor John's one of those guys that is so close to realizing constant runs at the front, the confidence in the sled, confidence in himself, building and building with every race.
Unquestionably, and it all started with that third place out of Deadwood after the fire in the trailer, and the torch ever since then. Boy, he has been absolutely lit, motivated, and riding incredibly well.
And you've been calling him the torch ever since.
Vincent. Look at this move. Oh.
Brian Harmon's now all over Vincent. What a great ride for Harmon. And look at this battle. Trevor Johns grabbed fourth place.
Boy, he just worked that inside line. You can see him lap, that previous lap, in and out, looking for any way by Marszalek. He found that little opening, and he shot through. Beautiful pass.
Oh, and it's adios now. Trevor Johns pulling away. There's the front runners coming through. And there's fourth place, Trevor John, 1 through 4 transfer.
Yeah, we talked about Marszalek's great ride, but how about Harmon? He, too, is an independent, very independent racer out of Wisconsin. He's been there on and off, but he is having a great run. And, I mean, right now, he may have been passed by Vincent and Extra, but he's staying with a couple of the best in the sport. He is doing a superb job.
Wow, did you hear Ekstrom's sled slam down as it came off the jump there? They look so graceful, but let me assure you, when they're jumping those sleds, there's a lot of energy involved.
And this track, Paul, it's high speed, and there's lots of big ramp jumps. And as a result, as you pointed out, they're getting tremendous air, and if they overjump or they short a little bit when they hit hard. The nice thing here is lots of snow finally here at Crandon, and it's not brutally cold like it has been in the past either. Nice mix, great weekend.
The temperature right at 29 degrees. Look how bright the sun is, which gives them good definition. They can race a little bit harder because they have a clear understanding of what's out in front. That's, of course, assuming that they're not looking into somebody's ruse as they come off of a jump. Final lap. Top 4 transfer. They look unchallenged right now.
Yeah, the 4 of them have definitely eased away. You can see there's good look back at Trevor, and he's got a bit of room now back to Marszalek. Marszalek's going to need some help in the form of a problem by Trevor. And Dennis Ekstrom, he has put on a great drive. Vincent has closed it up a little bit, but I think Ekstrom's such a savvy racer. He knows he's got to transfer. I think he's maybe backed it off just a notch. Make sure he doesn't do anything silly.
And despite having to get into the LCQ, he's riding very well. There's Vincent. You saw him in the air. Here comes Dennis Ekstrom. And there it is. Ekstrom transfers to the final, followed by Chris Vincent. And then Brian Harmon, and of course Trevor John. So there are the 4 that will move to the Pro Stock Final.
The key to a good race here at Crandon, like at most tracks, is a launch. You go uphill, you go further uphill. But the good news about here at Crandon is the snow. You notice the dust in the air. This snow is 100% au natural. It is a great racetrack, one of the longest we have, but as a result, one of the most fun, one of the most challenging. It's an awesome course. Let's take a look at it as the Ski-Doo X team once again presents WSA's very own 3D rider off the Power Mad Racing start line. You climb up to the barn corner here, you make a left, handling comes into play, but then back on the trigger. You're still climbing, horsepower, everything. Over the first of 2 huge jumps as you plummet down into the deepest, lowest spot of this track. You can see 2 huge doubles, now into a very long, arcing 180-degree corner. A lot of racers will diamond it just a little bit, just like the 3D rider is. Now you head back up toward the finish line, a huge double right here. Come up, the right-hander here, it's very choppy right there. Then you come up and over the finish line. Now in WSA's history here at Crandon, only one guy has ever won a pro final. At Crandon, Blair Morgan is definitely king of the hill.
Look at Blair. Blair and Vincent. Vincent's on the outside. Blair Morgan finally gets the nose just ahead of him. Now down to the inside. They're side by side. Vincent working that other line very well. And he's passed, but here comes Morgan back. And Morgan up into Vincent. The checkers belong to Blair Morgan.
Look at this move. Heikkinen found a smooth lane, went right around Blair Morgan. Oh, and Morgan almost offloaded.
Blair Morgan takes a look back. Tony Heikkinen comes to the inside, comes around. the dominant power this weekend. Now the question is, can Blair Morgan be beaten at Crandon? And the answer is, well, not yet. Pro Stock Final.
This is an amazing journey here, and you can see he's second qualifier. He's lined up next to Hibbert. As usual, there's the back row. This is going to be awesome. Will the streak continue?
There's the green. Watch the center of that line there. Tucker Hibbert got a great start launching out of the center. Blair came at him, so did Carl Kuster. They're up the hill.
Morgan actually got squeezed a little bit in that left-hand turn, and he had to drop back. And that's Carl Kuster, who has a fairly similar upright riding style. And Kuster giving Hibbert all kinds of problems early.
Blair Morgan works high, trying to find his way up to the front, but it's Kuster and Tucker Hibbert as they go nose to nose.
That's that big double leading into the right-hander and heading toward the finish line. And Kuster, he stayed put around the outside. He is fighting Hibbert all the way.
Carl Kuster with a great start, good run. Slides into second now, had his nose ahead for just a moment. And then Tucker Hibbert came right back at him, stuck his nose ahead. Blair Morgan sits in third.
Kuster, one of the great characters on the circuit. They call him Dr. Evil because he loves the Austin Power movies. And is a great, very fun gentleman, but also incredibly quick. And as you can see, although Tucker's drawn away, he now and Morgan are going bar to bar.
Morgan works on Carl Kuster. Now they are side by side as Tucker Hibbert begins to pull away.
Morgan and Kuster.
Morgan.
Oh, look at that move there. Morgan and Kuster both from the Canadian Arctic Cat team. Very much teammates along with Earl Reimer, but not showing a lot of love right now.
You know, this may be the prettiest snow that we've seen all year. As you said earlier, just a light dust. Look at this view from on board with Nick Hutchinson.
That is Carl Shabitsky right in front of him, and you can see the hard nature of the racing. And also, since it's natural snow, it's a little bit fluffier, so you get that dust that comes up and hangs just a little bit. Oh, Morgan got him!
Morgan, they keep at it. This time Morgan's got him, just nailed him down inside the left-hander.
Morgan very persistent. The problem is that the battle that he had with Kuster has allowed Tucker Hibbert to open up a pretty significant margin.
Blair Morgan now in pursuit of Tucker Hibbert. Tucker is about to put a major dent in Blair Morgan's record here.
It's an amazing story, no question. There have been 5 pro finals run in WSA's history here at Crandon, and it is Morgan who has won every one of them. This streak means a lot to him. One of the reasons he loves this track, it's very much a natural terrain course, like the motocross tracks he rules on in Canada in the summer.
You know, this rivalry has really been great for the WSA. You know, sometimes people say, oh, we don't want guys mad at one another. Bet me, I love it when you get a rivalry like this going.
I don't know that either of them are really mad at one another, but I think Morgan is tired of losing to Tucker, and Tucker is obviously dedicated to doing just that, and they've each picked it up a notch. They push each other to new levels. Every once in a while, that involves a little banging and scraping, and I think they're both starting to feel it.
What's cool in motorsports is that doesn't affect just them.
No.
That affects everybody else in the field because, well, look at the distance right there. Everybody back there is saying, you know, if we don't start racking it up, we'll never see those guys again.
That's very true. I mean, the rest of the field has got to up the ante as well. But, I mean, look at this. You just saw Hibbert look back at Morgan. He knows he's there. Now Hibbert's going to be going just that bit harder. Morgan's going to have to go just that bit harder. And that's the history of these guys. They take it to new levels. But Morgan seems to be on an absolute mission.
Oh. Neck and neck, they continue to run in the battle for the lead between Morgan and Hibbert. Now Morgan has the lead. But Hibbert's going to come right back at him.
Yeah, he cuts down, gets on the hammer. You saw Hibbert on that downhill run look over twice at Morgan. Morgan's all that matters to Hibbert right now. Hibbert is all that matters to Morgan.
Morgan took a look back. And what's the great quote on that one? Don't look back. Whatever's following you may be catching you. So Pro Stock Finals looking great. 4 to go. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Crandon. Do we have a fight going? Blair Morgan, Tucker Hibbert have been hammering at one another for the first time this entire run in pro stock. We've seen the two of them separate just a bit.
Just a bit. We're watching here a great battle for fourth now between Kuster, Justin Tate, and Earl Reimer. Number 100, Reimer just got underneath Tate. A sweet move. So, tell you what, Paul, we have all three of the Canadian Arctic Cat team members in the top 5 right now.
Boy, and Reimer just muscled his way past Tate.
Well, Scrap Iron, he's been looking for a good run like this. Here's another look at the pass. Now watch the move. Tate gets a little crossed up going in there. Reimer just checks up, turns underneath, and as Tate tries to shut the door, Reimer's already there, fills the lane, and actually keeps Tate from tipping over as they rub as they go by. Tate was up on that berm. He may have tipped. Reimer straightened him up.
2 to go now. Morgan, Hibbert. That battle continues. Carl Kuster, who had a great start, has been in the fight all the way, sits back there in third. But look at Earl Reimer. Number 100 comes up alongside, challenges.
Wow, they hit!
Reimer is flipped off. He looks a little bit stunned, but he's getting back, going to try to get back in the fight. That's very costly.
I tell you, Paul, that's one of those mistakes that you think you learn early in the going. When your skis, as we take a look at what happens here, watch what happens. He's trying to come up inside Kuster. Kuster's going to go left, as we just showed you, and Reimer's too close, and his ski hits Kuster's track, and the guy behind is always going to get the worst of that because it sweeps your ski out and flips you right over. You never want to be in that position going into a corner when that guy in front of you is going to be turning in.
Blair Morgan rides all alone in the lead. There is Tucker Hibbert, second place.
Look at the margin that Morgan has opened up on here. This is Morgan's house, and he's letting people know nobody beats him at Crandon. Unbelievable ride by Morgan. Right now, he's in another zone, I think. This is the Blair Morgan we all know.
So 1 lap to go on this relatively long course at Crandon. Look at the sun sparkle off the snow. Tucker Hibbert's not going to catch him in this lap. Kuster, Tate, Kohanski, they line up 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
And there is that battle. There's Kuster with Tate in pursuit. Battle for 3rd. Kuster has had a great run, and Tate just not able to do anything with him at this stage.
Tate would like to work him. He knows that the checkered flag is not that far away.
And now, as a result, the Reimer's off. Noel Kohanski has moved in now to the top 5. Good run for Golden Noel. But look at Morgan. He's just in absolute control of that sled. And there it is.
Well, next, and Blair Morgan says, I win it again. You're on my track. Tucker Hibbert, you are not going to beat me here. At least it wasn't going to happen in pro stock.
Here's that battle that's raging for 3rd, and Tate is closed up, Paul. This is up over that double. Huge double on the right-hander of the finish line, and Tate now needs some help.
So Blair Morgan takes the win, and a nice win it was, but not without a lot of action in pro stock.
Well, Paul, as we go back and take a look, that was the pass he put on Carl Kuster. He pressured Kuster. Kuster finally felt the heat, went a little wide in that bottom hairpin. Underneath he went. Now look at that. That's what I was talking about. Hibbert looking back at Morgan. They reference each other. And as they come over, Hibbert looks there and he realizes, uh-oh, Blair's alongside. And Blair has a smoother lane. Hibbert looks again. Right there, he knows Morgan's got the momentum on him. Morgan doubles over a hole that Hibbert dipped into, and that gives Morgan the lead, and it gives him the win. 6 for 6 here at Crandon, and a no-foot can just for fun.
Well, you know, as long as you own the place, there's absolutely no reason not to do a little bit of showing off. Of course, his title to Crandon is still a matter of question. Tucker Hibbert would love to nail him here, and there is, after all, the pro final, which will be coming up in a bit. There's the official result, with Blair Morgan taking the win. Let's go down to Jerry Bernardo and the master.
Mr. Morgan, there's nothing more satisfying than a victory that you reel in from in the back, isn't there? You get jacked in the first turn, lots of snow dust, and you chased down 68 and took the win.
Yeah, I felt good. I feel stronger than ever. Even like the Chicago weekend last weekend, I thought I should have won both those mains and set some mechanicals, but I just feel really good these days, and Yeah, I came from like 5th, reel him in and take the win and even pull away on him at the end. So I feel awesome.
I noticed a little Jeremy McGrath when you went over on the jump that you turned again, the old lookie.
Yeah, we got kind of close to that one jump over there, and I kind of moved over a bit on him to get to my line, and I didn't realize he was there, so it was a little close.
But you're smiling on the podium now.
Yeah, it feels good. You know, I want to win all the races from here on out. He's got more wins than me, and I got to fix that.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Jerry.
So as a result of this run, there's the point standings. Blair Morgan with a small lead over Tucker Hibbert. Chris Vincent sitting well back. When we return, it will be Inside Cross, and we'll get an update on how Aaron Shield is doing. Welcome back to Crandon, WSA Snocross Worldwide. Blair Morgan has already proven he's still the king here, winning in pro stock. It's time now for Inside Cross with Greg Kramer. Inside Cross is brought to you by Ride FX. Ride hard. We can take it.
Hi, everybody, and welcome once again to Inside Cross. You know, with the World Snowmobile Association and the Snocross Worldwide Championship, that international flavor continues to become more and more a factor. We have drivers in this circuit from all around the globe, and one of those racers from a fairly exotic location is Alex Karrason, who comes and runs from Iceland. Now, Alex, obviously that's a pretty long haul and one heck of a commitment. Why do you come and race the World Snowmobile Association events?
Well, first of all, I think because it gives me time to train back home before the race starts back home, and also I think I need to race where the best are, and that's definitely where the WSA races are. And one of the things I would say that gets a huge media coverage all over, and it's pretty famous even in Iceland.
Well, actually, you're also running, as I understand, the only Lynx that's racing in North America. This is a very unique machine. Tell us a little bit about this buggy.
Well, yeah, it's definitely unique. It's made in Finland, and it's made by the Bombardier company, so it's a kind of a sister sled of the Ski-Doo. It's got the same engine as the Ski-Doo and similar plastic chassis, but the suspension in it and all the chassis below that is totally unique. They got their own design of the suspension, both the front and the rear, and it's awesome. It's brand new. It's just out of the case. I shipped it over. Haven't done any testing on it, so I'm gonna try it out this weekend.
During the season here in Inside Cross, we've updated you on the injury scenario, and for the most part, most of the guys are actually getting healthy. But unfortunately, Aaron Shield, just before this race, was running an event not affiliated with the World Snowmobile Association, and he suffered some pretty serious injuries. Now, Aaron is a factory Arctic rider. He runs out of the Judnick Motorsports camp, and I've got Scott Judnick here. And Scott, what happened with Aaron?
Well, we were running at the Metrodome on Friday night, and he was running the stock final. He came down the back stretch. It was a real rough section. He was right in the thick of things, probably in the top 3, and he just started to come up and lost a little control, and he banged the handlebars right above his, right in the stomach area. He landed on there about 2 or 3 times, and then went crashing off the track into the barriers, and what happened was he injured his spleen.
I understand he underwent surgery that night.
Yeah, about 1:30 in the morning, they removed his spleen. They had to cut him, I guess, from right in this area down to his belly button, real large incision, and it's really an unfortunate deal.
I understand, though, the prognosis will be a 100% recovery. It's just a long one.
Yeah, he will be back, probably not this year. He's going to recover 100%. It's not something that is really going to hurt him at all.
Well, that's very good news indeed. Now, of course, Aaron's going to be missed for the rest of the season, not just for his ability and skill on the track, but also take a look at this. Aaron was the guy more often than not who volunteered to wear ESPN's great helmet cam, giving us these great shots from right in the thick of the action. And also, Aaron, as a construction worker by trade, is rated on heavy equipment, and he's a great gentleman in the sport. More often than not, at the end of the day on Saturday, you'd find him in a great big plow or a huge groomer out helping the WSA officials with his knowledge of the track and his ability with that equipment to keep perfecting these race courses. We're going to miss you, Aaron. Get healthy and get back.
We want you to meet the champions of the future in snowcross.
The Junior Snowcross Challenge. Kids 6 to 9 years of age, male, female. They get on these different brands, little 120cc machines, but pretty trick suspensions and skis, and they go after it, Paul. I mean, they lean on each other, they race hard, and they tip over.
Whoa, get back on that sled. Now, they go neck and neck. They take it very seriously. There's still some things they have to learn. One of them, like, don't run over the official. Nevertheless, they put on a great show. It's fun. It's part of the family sport. Now, here is Pro Open qualifying. Round 2, Heat 2.
Interesting story in this one, and you can see Tucker Hibbert gets a little bit of a hole shot, but that Polaris with the dark hood on his right shoulder is Noel Kohansky. Noel was absolutely on form, and watch this move. Got to the inside of Hibbert and just skies it over the jump here. Blows by Hibbert. Noel looked like he was on his way to a very, very good run. Had opened up a nice little margin. Hibbert kept him honest, but you can see the style. Noel really had that sled dialed. It was set up. He was riding it incredibly well. But then a little bit of a problem, and you just heard that little bit of a noise. That was Noel. His engine let go, and he just pops the tether. Frustrated, huge. It was a great run that got away from him.
In round 3, Heat 1, it was a repeat of that battle that we saw in Pro Stock.
Yeah, Chris Vincent got the whole shot and was gone, but down to the inside there, it's Carl Kuster on the outside, his teammate Earl Reimer. Remember the battle they had earlier, and it was to be rejoined here. And the funny thing was, it ended up with this very similar result, but from a little bit different setup. Watch what happens here. Reimer's got the lead. Now they're heading up into a turn here. Watch Kuster. He straight lines into this turn. Reimer doesn't see it. Reimer turns in. Reimer turns in late. Kuster's by, skis to Kuster's track. Reimer goes over.
Only thing different is he fell off of the other side. It's Jerry Bernardo in your face when we come back. Welcome back to WSA Snocross Worldwide as we await the start of Pro Open. But in the meantime, let's go to our man, Jerry Bernardo.
Jerry will now dig into the minds and helmets of the WSA professional snowcross racers with 9 categories. Tucker, pick a category.
Power.
You've been named king of the world. What was the first thing you'd change?
I'm going to have all my clothes made out of gold.
And the reason would be?
I don't know, that'd be cool.
Pick a category and I'll hit you with a question.
History.
The ultimate dinner for 4. Who's at your table?
Well, you, of course. Probably my mechanic, so we can talk over all the strategic stuff. My mom and dad.
You want to pick a category and I'll ask you a really cool question.
Survival.
Stranded on a desert island. What's the one item you cannot live without?
A girl.
Pick a category. I got a question.
Entertainment.
What's the worst movie you've ever seen? Twice.
Romeo and Juliet.
Why?
Too slow, too sweet, too lovey-dovey.
Pick a category, dude.
Romance.
You're trying to impress a lady. What's on the stereo and what's in the oven?
Let's see here. We got a Def Leppard on the stereo and Taco Bell or White Castle.
Why don't you pick a category?
Music.
What are you, smooth jazz, punk rock, or somewhere in between?
Anything that has to do with Metallica, baby.
Pick a category.
Survival.
You're stranded on a desert island. What's the one item you cannot live without?
Fire.
Golden Knoll, pick a category, please.
Let's do culture.
What's the first line in Oh Canada?
Oh, Canada.
And then?
Our home and native land.
Oh, yeah, ass that of a Canadian. The Bombardier Groomers are on the course. We'll be back with Pro Open LCQ. Welcome back to Crandon. We're ready to go. Last chance qualifier. Short race. 4 positions go to the back row of the Pro Open final. There's your lineup.
A couple of good racers in this one again. Trevor John back in there as well as Justin Tate. There's the launch, and a good launch by number 5, Dave Brown on the Yamaha. Right down the center of the pipe there. He got a great hole shot.
He fades a little as they climb the hill. Make the first turn. Here comes Justin Tate over the top of the mound. And they're staying close and tight.
Yeah, Tate picked up the lead. That's Titus right in the mix as well. Trevor John in this one, as you can see, and a big move down to the inside. That was Reimer.
Earl Reimer on 100 down to the inside, takes second place. Reimer slides into second.
Boy, some serious bump and grind going on behind. That was Trevor John caught up in that, but he moves up as well. You can see Dave Brown slip back now. He's in about 6th spot at this stage.
Boy, this isn't a race. This is a war back here.
Well, these guys all very close in terms of speed, and they understand the mission. Top 4, and the problem is you got 10 guys going for that.
Tate, then Reimer out in front, top 4. Move on to the final.
Troy Shaden, another rider from Wisconsin. He's actually from the Ocala, Wisconsin area. Very quick rider, having a good run here as well in that number 19 Polaris.
Yeah, but look at 85 Trevor John. He overhauls both of them one corner back, slides into third place. Again, Trevor John having a good run.
Yeah, we documented that in that Pro Stock LCQ where he was running so fast, and he's doing it once again here. And Reimer's sitting in second. I wonder if he's riding with a little bit of the red mist. Remember his 2 crashes earlier. He wants something to happen here of a positive nature, get to that final.
There's Nathan Titus, fourth place. You had a good view of him earlier.
There is a look at Shaden, who sits in 5th, and he's the guy just outside of that transfer, so he's eyeing the back of Titus's bib really close. Of course!
That's not the course. Hang a big left, get rid of the tough block, and get going.
Yeah, and he still can't find a ramp up. That's killing Shaden. He's done in terms of any shot at a transfer now.
So a very costly mistake for Shaden at the front. Earl Reimer has taken over the lead from Trevor John.
Boy, Justin Tate bobbled, and neither of those guys in second or third wasted a moment, just blew by.
And now Trevor in close pursuit of Earl Reimer. Reimer's beginning to inch away.
Another thing about Titus is that after that surgery he had in Chicago, that leg is still pretty sore. So Titus obviously working through some issues here, trying to get to this final and doing it with a bit of pain.
Yeah, and for Nathan, that was no little bitty break. That was a serious injury.
Yeah, it was a tough one, and then to have the surgery down to the bone for the infection and everything. It's been a tough season for Nate recovering from that huge knee injury 2 years ago.
He's kept an amazing good spirit throughout the whole thing. Good to see him back and riding well. 4 to go. Top 4 will transfer. Nathan Titus is at that transfer point right now. There he is on 2.
You saw right behind him the blue Yamaha, Dave Brown, and Brown has been closing back in on this group. He's making up some ground. Reimer leads it with Trevor John. They're pretty much clear, everybody, right now. But then Tate, Titus, and Brown, fairly close company.
A look at Trevor John as he continues to work Earl Reimer. John on 85, the red sled. Earl Reimer out in front on 100.
You can see the gap, that next sled coming over the jump. The black one back there is Tate. These two are way gone. And again, they're racing each other awful hard, and I don't quite understand sometimes the thinking on that. There's Tate.
That's not a gap, that's an eternity. Nathan Titus, and then Brown's very definitely getting into this fight. There's Tate. There's Nathan, but look just behind him. David Brown is on the charge.
Huge story for Brown, breaking his ankle, of course, at Duluth in the season opener this year. They figured that'd be a 2 to 3 to 4 month recovery. He was back on his buggy, as he likes to call it, within 4 weeks. An amazing job. He's been telling me he's got a little mental issue. The ankle's not in bad shape, but he said if the sled gets a little awkward and he feels the ankle starting to twist a little bit, he backs off and he goes, I've got to get over that because I think the ankle can actually handle it.
Little nudge of the tough block for Nathan Titus, still in 4th place. That's Dave Brown.
Right there in 5th. They've got a reworked Yamaha they're using this year, and it's very lightweight. These are trick sleds, unlike the stock sleds in Pro Stock, which are 440cc stock machines with just safety mods. These are full-out 800cc, heavily modified engines and chassis, and for the top-level factory programs, Paul, they're actually having to add weight to the chassis now to make the minimum weight. These are some unbelievably trick machines.
With just over a lap to go now, this is becoming quite a battle behind Earl Reimer. It looks like he's got the win, no questions asked. That, of course, is barring mechanical or an accident. Oh, and boy, talk about mechanical! Earl Reimer from the lead pulls off!
They just started the last lap. Right in front of Reimer is where the checkered flag area is, and they're on the last lap, and his sled just laid down and parked it. That's going to elevate everybody here. So now it's John, Titus, Tate, and Brown is in a transfer spot.
And it's kicking the adrenaline level, too, as Trevor John is under attack. Titus and Tate, they're both right there. They're hammering. Brown is hammering.
I almost wonder if some of these guys saw that Reimer had the problem. Certainly Trevor did, but the rest of these guys, I don't know that they saw him because he was kind of off to the side of the track, and they were in the middle of a battle. All three of these guys, Paul, have a transfer locked up. They don't have to be racing this hard.
Titus Tate Brown rounds out. Oh, no! Oh! All he had to do was get it to the finish.
Brown trying to recover, and there goes Marsalek. Marsalek's going to go through to fourth, Paul. That's a transfer. And Brown, he's coming up to the line. This is unbelievable here.
I'll tell you what, that's handlebar pounding stuff right there.
He just looked over and he saw Reimer, Paul, and he looked over and asked, where were you? He just realized he missed a transfer.
So Trevor John leads the four, who will transfer to the Pro Open. We'll be back. ESPN Speed World is at Crandon, Wisconsin. We're ready for the Pro Open final. Everybody's on the line. You see the front row. Here's the second row. They just qualified out of the LCQ. Been a beautiful day here. Great weather for the final race.
Oh, did Tucker Hibbert nail the launch on this one, Paul? Up and around the outside, he got a great start.
Tucker Hibbert roars into the front.
That was Morgan, though. Morgan got by Tucker, and he did it by taping. He didn't lift on that downhill. You could see him. He was absolutely sideways in the air, out of control, but it carried him past Hibbert into the lead.
Remember, as we ride now with Brad Pitlick, who's looking backwards, but he's sitting up about third or fourth place right now. And remember, Crandon belongs to Blair Morgan. He doesn't even want to talk about anybody who wants to try and challenge him here. But of course he has to deal with the ongoing problem of the kid, Tucker Hibbert.
Yeah, Morgan has come in here with an unbelievable focus. And like I said, he's never lost here. He wants that trend to continue. And he's tired of getting beat this year, too. And he's putting everything he can right now into this race. And, I mean, it's paying off. He's got a nice margin over Hibbert. And Brad Pitlick, one of the best drives we've seen. This is a first-year pro, rookie pro. And he's having a very strong run. He's in a battle now with Ekstrom. But nice run. And look at Hibbert now. He's coming back after Morgan.
Back at the front. 7C is Morgan. 68 is Hibbert. Morgan leads it. There's that battle for second. Ekstrom's got Pitlick by a nose right now. And Pitlick comes back.
That was a great exchange of punches and counterpunches, both at the front and in that battle for third.
It looks so smooth from the outside. And then when you go on board, you realize how tough and rough it really is. Battle for the lead. Tucker Hibbert working hard on Morgan. Remember how many times this year we've seen confrontation and contact between these two.
You just saw what makes Morgan Superman. That sled was at a perpendicular angle to the track as he went over two huge holes, and Tucker taking a run at him, but he doubled into those holes. He went down into them. Morgan sideways went over both of them.
They're side by side as they come over the top of the jump. Battle continues. Morgan maintains the lead. Hibbert is, for the most part, getting right in the ski tracks of Morgan. He's following him through. Now he splits wide.
Up and over one of those big doubles, and as you said, he's following Morgan around. But look at the boost. That's the downside of following somebody when you're close, is you're going to get all that slop in your face. But Morgan's obviously running some fast lines. Hibbert's trying to just stay close. If he does get close, that's when he's got to get creative. And now, as a result of that roost, Paul, you see he's moved to a different line. He's trying to find something that's a little bit more effective.
Yeah, but by doing so, he's had to fall back. 6 laps to go now in the Pro Open final. Morgan's throwing that sled everywhere. Tucker Hibbert continues that nice, smooth, stand-up riding style.
There's a look back to third. Brad Pitlick, what a ride he has put on today. Then Ekstrom, right there is DJ on the Amsoil Skidoo, and he's just trying to stay close. And look at that now. Now Hibbert is using that line that Morgan used earlier, doubling over those two big holes instead of dipping down into them.
We should make mention, too, and we might even get a glimpse of Trevor John, number 85 on the Polaris. back in the field. He runs in 5th, and remember the great run that he gave it to come through and win in the LCQ.
Good point, of course. They ran 8 laps, the 4 in the back row from that LCQ just before this final. So obviously Trevor's driving a good run and showing that he is in some phenomenal shape.
Morgan, Hibbert, you saw Pitlick, there's Ekstrom, and Trevor John. The real story of this race, though, is up at the front. Another face full of snow for Tucker Hibbert. Morgan is out to prove that he owns this thing.
You see the change in position by Hibbert in the turn, on the seat, feet forward, off to the edge. He came out of the turn, moved those feet back, stood up, went to the throttle, got the weight back on the track, so he got some dig. Pitlick is in trouble. Look at the smoke coming from Pitlick, and that's not because he got something on the drive belt or on the engine. Something's let go inside that engine. He's got a little bit of a problem there. He's still running, but much, much slower. What a shame. Out of 3rd.
Yeah, pretty quickly he's going to give way. He's already given way to Dennis Ekstrom for 3rd. And he will fall further backward. At the front, Morgan, Hibbert. Pro Open Final. We'll be back with more. The Pro Open Final with 3 laps to go. Morgan is leading. He's looking to sweep it once again at Crandon. But Tucker Hibbert's right there and going to do everything he can to spoil Morgan's day. Dennis Ekstrom, with the failure of Pitlick, came up into 3rd place, followed by Trevor John and Ken Ibsen.
Good top 5. There's Ken Ibsen on a Goodwin Performance Cat, having a very solid run, coming up from a mid-pack early run up into that top 5 spot. Now, part of the deal we're getting here is some traffic. This track's long, and we haven't seen that much, but some of these guys now, Morgan and Hibbert in particular, you can see working through some traffic.
So now it's not only go as fast as you can, but take a look ahead, see who's there, recognize their style, know what they're going to do, and hopefully pick a way to get around them safely. First pass for Morgan and Hibbert goes smoothly.
Yeah, it was Todd Tupper, and he didn't hold up. Morgan didn't hold up Hibbert, let them both through. One of the things to keep in mind here as we're watching this battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, which is closing up a little bit, is the blue flag with the yellow stripe through it, the passing flag that they let a rider know that there's somebody coming up. They only display it at the start-finish line. This is a long track. So, see, there you see the flag. They gave it to Pitlick, and they've given it to a couple others. They're letting them know, but this is a long track.
Final lap now. You saw the white flag come out. Blair Morgan is in front. Tucker Hibbert is charging. Dennis Ekstrom, Trevor John, 3rd and 4th. There's Morgan. Back at Ekstrom, 3rd place. Looking back to 4th, there's Trevor John. Tucker Hibbert in 2nd place. He's closing on him. There's the slower sled. Blair Morgan gets around it. Tucker Hibbert closes in. Tucker Hibbert is right there doing everything he can to catch Morgan. He goes offline. He goes inside. Hibbert's got him. Hibbert takes the lead. Tucker Hibbert in the last 2 corners takes the lead, takes the win. Oh, Blair Morgan, take that.
Hibbert couldn't believe it. Did you see him look back, sort of shook his head, couldn't believe what happened? And I'd suspect Morgan can't really believe what happened either.
I'm not even sure that Blair Morgan knew he was there.
Well, this is the last turn, and Hibbert just came streaming up the inside, looked over, braked to make sure Morgan couldn't cut back, and made the pass. Another look at it here from another angle. Hibbert has the nose in front, Morgan trapped on top of that berm, and Hibbert, as a result, got straightened out and on the throttle first, and he came by, and I got to believe some traffic held Morgan up a bit, and that was all that Hibbert needed. Unbelievable.
Tucker Hibbert takes the win over Blair Morgan. Now let's go down to Jerry Bernardo with our new winner at Crandon.
Tucker, another exciting race with Blair Morgan. Apparently he was within striking distance. You two are like this all through the whole main.
Yeah, it was an awesome race. You know, we're super pumped to win here. Me and Blair were just right next to each other the whole race. I just stayed right on him, and that was it paid off at the end. You know, I got an opening. Blair got into the lappers a little bit. It's just awesome, man. I'm just super pumped.
Did you think you were going to be able to catch him?
I didn't know. You know, we got the white flag, and you know, I just put the charge on hard. I was going to ride it to the end no matter what happened. So, you know, I wasn't sure, but it worked.
All right, it was pretty exciting from my point of view. Good job.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, Bernardo, it was exciting from everybody's point of view. Well, Tucker Hibbert by 3 points now leads Blair Morgan. Dennis Ekstrom sits back in third in the points. Let's go back to Jerry Bernardo.
Blair, I had my eyes on the race the whole time. I thought for sure you had it in the bag, as you thought you had it in the bag. And it turned out there was a little issue. It may or may not have been Lappas. It may or may not have been Tucker riding really good.
Yeah, I felt I was riding really awesome. You know, about the midway point, I thought I had some lead on him, and then coming into the last couple of laps, got all caught up in these lappers, and the lead totally diminished, and I left the door totally open for him in that last corner, and it's hard to see. The sun's right in our eyes on this one corner, so I just, it was my fault that time.
Well, Blair definitely got held up by some lap sleds, as he said, and obviously Tucker wasting no time taking advantage of it.
Yep. To be able to take advantage, you have to be there the whole run, and Tucker Hibbert was taking the win in Pro Open. So we've proven today that Blair Morgan doesn't totally own Crandon. We've also proven that the rivalry between these two continue. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more about Snocross and WSA, log on to ESPN.com. Speed World is on the air. Welcome to the Windy City in our coverage of WSA Snocross. It's the Nielsen Enterprises Windy City Snocross from Hawthorne Park Raceway in Chicago, Illinois. I'm Paul Page with Greg Kramer and Jerry Bernardo. It's 28 degrees right now. Wind chill of 11 degrees, owing to, yep, you guessed it, the Windy City. We've got a slight wind blowing across the course. I want to take it back to Pro Stock qualifying.
Well, you notice a good launch off the line. Carl Shabitsky looked like he was going to be pretty strong, but it was Tucker Hibbert who eventually got to the front. This one was loaded with talent, as you saw behind him. It was Morgan and Vincent, and Tucker just sort of ruled. He was very strong. Morgan started to close up. They both gapped Vincent just a little bit, and then the rest of the pack were fighting for scraps, basically, behind them here. Now, you can see the snow conditions with those warmish temperatures, and the track built out of snow moved from parking lot is very thick and heavy. As a result, that's why it has that brownish texture and tone to it. Nonetheless, the racing very good. A lot of slop flies up in the air when the track conditions like this as well, keeping visibility an issue. But Tucker Hibbert, he had it dialed and just put together a great win in front of Morgan. Here was the battle at the line. Look at this, right at the line, Vincent barely hanging on to third in that one.
And that sets the stage for Pro Stock, the last chance qualifier. 4 will transfer. Quite a lineup here in the last chance qualifier. Flag comes, here we go. You ride with Ray Schlegel.
Great on board from that helmet cam. You can see how busy it gets in that first turn. Paul Schlegel squeezed by Ibsen, drops back into second. Nonetheless, a good start for Schlegel. He's the second green Arctic Cat there behind Ken Ibsen on that Goodwin Performance machine. Very strong run. Ekstrom slots right into third.
So Ibsen leads the field round, Schlegel. And lap 1 is complete with Ibsen as the leader. Ekstrom dropped into third right away, then Pitlick, and then Carl Shabitsky.
Watch this battle between Pitlick and Shabitsky. There, they just landed here. We'll try and pick them up. There's the lead 3. They're looking pretty comfortable. There it is, side by side. And that Shabitsky trying to go around the outside, and he made the pass. Paul, they were banging on each other the last 2 laps, and Ibsen has come off.
From the lead to the back of the pack for Ken Ibsen. That gives the lead over to Schlegel, followed by Ekstrom and Shabitsky.
That also promotes Chad Marsalek up into the 4th spot. And actually, you can see Pitlick is trying to fight back, but something's wrong. Pitlick, that's way slow. That's Pitlick in the back. He's at a crawl. Something has let go on that sled.
Last chance qualifier in pro stock. Even though, again, as we've seen so many times before, and you ride with Ray Schlegel, it serves absolutely no purpose to really fight one another well back in the field. Racers are racers, and you put another machine there, and what's going to happen? Lots of action.
That's a psych job sometimes, too, and sometimes it's for you. You want to prove to yourself that you can go out and beat these guys. And what a great story for Ray Schlegel. We've talked about him, an independent racer for years, out of his own pocket, the definitive independent. Last year, switched over to Arctic Cat, got a little bit of help, and showed the real flashes of brilliance that we all knew he was capable of. Now that he had some support, it showed. Arctic Cat picked him up. He's almost essentially a full factory pilot right now, getting lots of factory help, and he is at the front. Great to see.
Yeah, when you get those views from the onboard on Ray Schlegel, you see exactly what every racer looks for again and again. Nice, clear course in front of me, and look at the interval back to Ekstrom. Plenty of room there. He just rides nice and easy now.
Yep, got to be smart. He knows Ekstrom's there, but Ekstrom has not been able to close up on him at all to keep that pace working. This battle behind, though, is heating up for 4th, 5th, 6th. Remember, only the top 4 advance. Marsalek right there, first of those green machines. He's in 4th, but Tupper right there in 5th. Tupper getting hounded as well, and they can ill afford to do that because they've got to move forward and pick up Marsalek. And it was Ken Ibsen trying to rebound from that crash. That was the guy that just snuck underneath Tupper and picked up 5th. Is there enough time for him to get to Marsalek? Well, that's the question.
Yeah, Ibsen, the early leader, now into 5th place. Can he get Marsalek with the 4 laps left to go in this run?
That's the story. There's Shabitsky, there is Marsalek, and there's Ibsen, and he's cleared Tupper and moved out quite a bit, so he's obviously pretty quick. But you can see a couple different lines being utilized there. If he can find something, he may not be out of this one yet.
And there, in fact, is Kent Ibsen. He sits on the 40, doing his best to make up the distance and get into that transfer spot. At the front, Ray Schlegel. The coast is clear.
Clear indeed, and he's making the most of it again. Ekstrom not able to close that margin up, but Ekstrom, I think, is being pretty smart here. He's a pretty savvy racer. We saw that out of him last year. He knows he doesn't have to pass Schlegel. He just can't let Shabitsky get by him. He looks back every once in a while, sees he's got a nice gap. I think Ekstrom is just following Ray. That is what we've talked about many times. You mentioned it already. Ekstrom showing some real smarts here, conserving himself in his sled.
You talk to these guys all the time. We've got 2 laps to go. Do they indeed try to figure out, as long as they're okay in the LCQ, how to save their energy?
Sure, and a lot of them, what they'll do, because when you run the LCQ, it's usually just a couple of races before the final. So if they know they're secure in that final, what they'll do is start driving different lines on the track. Not necessarily the fastest lines, but different lines to try and get an idea of, in that final, should they need to change up a line as the track changes, where they can go. So I'll try to bank that data to be able to be quick to the end of the race in the final.
The Arctic Cat of Ray Schlegel is out in front, number 24, ahead of the Skidoo of Dennis Ekstrom as we are on the final lap of the run. Then Shabitsky and Marsalek. Will they finish that way? Ken Ibsen would like to have something to say about that.
Marsalek is driving a very, very impressive race. He has not only held up Ibsen, he's opened it up, but Schlegel looks back and takes a huge win for the independent.
Watches the rest of the group comes over the line. And the last chance qualifier has now come to an end. And there are the 4 that will advance, with Marsalek hanging on to that 4th position. Well, coming up next, we'll have coverage of the Pro Stock Final. How will Tucker do as he renews his battle with Blair Morgan?
Here at Hawthorne Racecourse is the snow. They had to get it from parking lots to make the track. It's got a nice track layout. However, it's what happens to the snow once they get racing. The top gets real loose, so you can see how far down it goes, but also bits of it bond together. When you're following a sled and that track throws this puppy up at you, it becomes a projectile. You're in for a long day when that starts to happen.
Let's take a look at this very unique tri-oval configuration here in the Windy City as the Ski-Doo X team presents WSA's 3D rider as it leaps into action off the start line, rocketing down that front straight and into the first turn. Now that's very important. It's a squeeze play in there. You can go wide, you can go inside. You got to watch out for those hay bales. down that back chute, the outside, a little bit quicker at certain points, and it lets you go outside into that next turn. That's been very fast. That might change. Now, middle, down that back chute over that huge jump, and then into the last turn. Again, that outside bank is huge. You can use it to good effect, but you might try and cut down low underneath. Whatever you need to do, get to the finish line.
So that's the course that they will face as they're ready now for the Pro Stock Final. There's the front row. Keep an eye, of course, once again, on Blair Morgan and Tucker Hibbert. They will start side by side. There's the second row determined by the last chance qualifier.
Right in that mix, too, is Vincent, and he is right up against Aaron Shield. They've gone inside. Look at Schlegel's on board. Look who's running that outside line in that first turn. Both Morgan and Hibbert work better for Morgan, but Vincent inside, great hole shot.
Oh, Chris Vincent gets a nice start, takes the lead, but now here comes Morgan. Morgan comes crashing at him, and so does Tucker Hibbert. So already those two guys attack Vincent, and they're gone. They're going away quick.
Yeah, Morgan wasted no time, and Hibbert, when Vincent got moved a little bit by Morgan and lost his rhythm, Hibbert went by him, but Vincent has counter-moved beautifully. He got back underneath Tucker. He's back in second. Chris Vincent finally getting the hole shot he's been looking for all season.
Well, there's a view of the leader, Blair Morgan, but look right behind him. Chris Vincent is back around Tucker Hibbert, and the rest of the field follows through. Greg Hyde and Dennis Ekstrom. Battle for second still going on.
Just going to say, boy, Vincent running it inside, Morgan checking out as Hibbert working the outside line. And what that's doing is slowing those two up a little bit. That outside line worked as Hibbert now has gone back around Vincent, but their battle is allowing Morgan to get away right now.
Now, Chris Vincent has been in the fight much of the season, but oh! He's out of this fight now, at least for the moment.
Now, Chris did something very smart there. A lot of riders will tip that sled back with that tough box still on the ski, just out of panic and get going. Chris is a veteran. He's been there before, and he goes, you know you cannot make that work. So the minute he hooked that tough box here, he realized that he absolutely had to get it off of that ski right now and get going again.
Which is exactly what he does. Yellow flag comes out that section of the course. But for Chris Vincent, that contact, that's a real problem. It puts him well back in the field, back at the front. There's Dennis Ekstrom. Carl Shabitsky fights with him. Greg Hyde just ahead, back to the front of the field. Morgan, Hibbert, they come through the area where Vincent got in trouble. Here comes that battle for third.
It doesn't take long to lose a lot of position here, and that's Trevor John pulled off as well. So that's why they were yellow in that section of track right after Vincent continued. Trevor John stopped. So that creates a problem. Now look at what Ekstrom is doing. It's what we talked about before. You can only follow somebody so long. And he found something, went outside, tried to cut inside, made up a lot of ground on Greg Hyde. Dennis is going to work that one again.
So Ekstrom works on Hyde. That's Shabitsky just a few feet back. Tucker Hibbert at the moment rides in the clean. Look at this battle. Oh, that's great. Ekstrom just notches him a little.
He made the pass and he made it stick. They were rubbing all the way down that straight until they popped wide. Awesome move by Dennis Ekstrom as he went out, cut underneath. Sometimes that's just a very effective move. There you see Hibbert in second, and a huge gap now back to Ekstrom, Hyde, and Shabitsky.
Blair Morgan, the leader, who has not had particularly the season that he wants because he's been constantly challenged by that guy you just saw there on number 68, 16-year-old Tucker Hibbert, his first year as a pro, and what a year it's proven to be.
These two guys have put on, and a huge, three sleds involved, and that was third, fourth, and fifth. That whole group got taken out. Ekstrom upside down on the black Amsoil sled. Shabitsky sitting there. Morgan knocking bales over. We got ourselves a brouhaha going on here.
All of a sudden, everything changes as Hibbert takes advantage of it, comes, and look at him. Look at the two of them fight as Hibbert takes the lead away, but that was not friendly.
Morgan's suspension is just broken, Paul. Morgan's in deep trouble.
Back with more of the Pro Stock Final right after this. Welcome back to Chicago. This was just moments ago.
Watch what happens here. There's Hyde. He gets nudged by Ekstrom. Ekstrom comes off. It tips Hyde over, and Shabitsky nowhere to go. I mean, he got in between. He hammered Ekstrom's sled, shoved him a good 20 feet. The lucky thing is Hyde and Ekstrom on either side of that. That could have been very bad.
Yeah, somebody got hit by that sled. It would not be a good thing. Tucker Hibbert leads it. 7 laps to go. Blair Morgan once again in the bridesmaid position. And I can guarantee you, he hates it.
He hates it, and he hates worse the fact that his suspension has developed a problem. That's what created problems for him at the opening round in Duluth, and he's experiencing it once again. Now, they've got that, we've talked about it, that unique hydraulically linked double shock unit in that rear suspension. They've struggled with that. I don't know that that's the problem here. The way the sled's reacting, it looks like a shock may have just broken or something, and it's all going off of the spring, and it makes the back of that sled, as Blair put it himself, makes it feel real pogo-y. And boy, I tell you, he's just trying to hang on here.
Yeah, he's doing what he can, but Justin Tate on number 28 right up behind him now. Behind Tate, Carl Brewster and Todd Wolf.
Yeah, I don't know how long he's going to be able to hang on. Of course, right now, up front, Tucker Hibbert, that sled working great, and he is just gone relative to the rest of the pack. I mean, look at that. You don't see anybody in the frame, and the guys that are coming through the frame are a lap down. Here's the battle.
Oh, it's jamming now. Look at Morgan. Hyde. They're all in there together.
Morgan almost came off in that corner. Watch what happens here. He's working on Hyde. He comes in, sets up, and right here, reaming up the inside goes Tate. They bump. Morgan's on Tate's seat. Somehow, look at that. He stays with it. He stays with it. That sled is absolutely handling diabolically right now for Morgan.
Yeah, but that shows you how really good Morgan is, because
Absolutely.
any other racer would have been off and flipping through the weeds by that time.
That was an immense save, and obviously it's that kind of ability that's keeping him, at least in this race, earning points. I mean, he's dropping back quickly, but he's not out of it. And when you're looking after a championship and he understands that, you've got to keep working it.
And with 3 laps to go now, that takes some of the pressure off of Tucker Hibbert. We look back here.
Well, this is the battle right now for third, and it's as good as that earlier one. Wolf, Kuster, and Schlegel were all over each other right there. There's Wolf, there's Kuster, and Schlegel again with that helmet cam. You can recognize them that way. Those guys are just beating up on each other behind Vincent and the other sled right here that's down a lap.
Chris Vincent's really given that sled a good ride here today. As with all of that other action and his incident earlier, he fell back. Then they had the trouble in front of him. He avoided all that, brought him up to second place.
Well, in that incident, when we lost those 3 sleds earlier that were 3rd, 4th, and 5th, Vincent picked his way through there beautifully, and he has fought back and got around Wolf, picked up 2nd. Wolf's 3rd, then the lap sled there of Hyde. Then Kuster and Schlegel. That is an immense battle here as we're on our last lap.
White flag is out in the windy city of Chicago. Oh, let's just celebrate early. Tucker Hibbert knows that there is no challenge going to come from Chris Vincent. Todd Wolf trying to close up on Vincent. Doesn't appear that that will happen. There comes, oh, Chris has picked up a tough block. That's good. That may not help.
Let's see if he can hang on here, because that really slows you down. That's like just having a shovel working against you as a break in the snow.
Chris Vincent, if he didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all.
It's unbelievable the season he had. All right, the box is gone, so he was able to shake it, and he also stayed in front of Wolf. Look at this scrap now. Hyde right in the middle of Kuster and Schlegel mixing it up, but it's all behind this guy, Paul.
Yeah, Tucker Hibbert already has time to rest. He's officially the winner, and Blair Morgan is not going to like the fact that he finished in 11th place. Now, we go down to talk with Tucker Hibbert, and here is the inimitable Jerry Bernardo.
Tucker Hibbert, another exciting win here. This is the Windy City Pro Stock. It doesn't matter what happened to anybody else because there was carnage all over the track. Another win under your belt.
Yeah, it's just awesome. You know, we're having a lot of fun out here. The track is really rough. That's what we like. It's just really cool. Me and Blair were battling there for a little while. They had problems with the sled, but just really excited. This is awesome.
Did you notice any of the carnage as you went around? There was a lot of flags waving.
Yeah, I seen a lot of sleds laying on the side and stuff. I kind of just, you know, tried to keep concentrating and sneak by them.
All right. You still having fun though?
Yeah.
I mean, is this big for you, or are you getting bored with winning?
No, it's always fun. We're having a blast. You know, it's always a rush to come on here and ride, and the win's even better.
All right, give me low 5.
Yeah.
All right, for Tucker Hibbert, he now pulls a little bit away from Blair Morgan in the point standings, and Chris Vincent closes in on Morgan. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Windy City of Chicago. You know, free time with these people can sometimes just be a little dangerous, if not a little stupid. Nice going, Chris. Now it's time for Inside Cross with Greg Kramer. Inside Cross is brought to you by Ride FX Chocks. Ride hard. We can take it.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Inside Cross. You know, snowmobile racing in general and snowcross in particular is experiencing a huge growth in popularity. The World Snowmobile Association is the top sanctioning body in snowcross, and we're with WSA CEO Scott O'Malley. Scott, we're in Chicago. I know how hard you guys work to pull off a race here. It's a major market. How important is that to WSA?
Well, we think it's vital to us as a company to be able to go to major markets and draw a population base as big as that they have in Chicago, and to be able to spread snowcross racing to all of North America.
Great venue here, obviously, the Hawthorne Race Course. This is the type of facility you're really looking for, isn't it?
Well, it is. It really sets up perfectly for us because it's got 15,000 some indoor seats for people that like to sit indoors. It's got the 6,000 or 7,000 outdoor seats, so it fits perfectly for what we're looking for, which is a balance between the indoor and the outdoor viewing.
Of course, you've got 8 million people here, but you've got the media to reach them. But a city of this size, an area like this, the logistics had to be pretty tough to get this all figured out. Was it worth it?
Well, it definitely was worth it. We've got a lot of help from the community, a lot of help from the facility, and we couldn't have been happier with how this race has gone so far.
You know what, folks? A little bit later in the show, his partner, Joe Duncan, is the president of WSA. We're going to be following him around because he's the one who builds the tracks. That's another type of chore. During our shows, when we put up the points graph and who's doing what in the points, it's informational, but you may be wondering, well, how do they get there? Well, Inside Cross, that's our job, to give you that inside information. So here's how the point structure works. There are 3 rounds of qualifying in each of the pro classes. Each driver runs 1 heat per round. If you win, you get 10 points in that heat. Second is 9, third is 8, and so on. So at the end of the 3 rounds of qualifying, if you're good, you have the potential to walk out of there with 30 points. Now you're in the final. There are no points for that qualifier. That's just to get you to the back row. If you're in the final and you win, you get 25 points. And of course, it's reduced for each position behind first that you finish. So if you're on form for a perfect weekend, you can walk out with 55 points. However, even if you struggle in the final, if you've had a very strong qualifying run, you can still leave with a lot of points. And that's why these points championships are always so close.
And when we come back, as Greg promised, we'll meet Joe Duncan and take you behind the scenes.
I told you a long time ago that WSA was blown up and we're infiltrating the big cities of the United States. Right here, right now, Chicago, the Windy City. We talked to Scott O'Malley, one of the big WSA honchos. You know, he's got it handled, but there's another guy that makes it happen right here on the track, Joe Duncan, a real hard-working promoter. We're going to do a little segment on him. But let's spread a little love in the city of Chicago. Yeah!
They have to. We can't cut in front of the bleachers.
Okay.
So the only way to get up in these bleachers is right here. They got to go that way, or we need to move this table right back here. Okay. Okay, I need you to slide up into the stands though, please. Hey guys, you need to go up inside the bleachers. Okay, thank you. Dave, help them get that sled out of there right away. When the pros come out for their first heat then, leave this where it is, right here, and then that guy will get in here and cut here, and if we get a wall or something in here, we'll be fine. Okay. So I can just come in with the groomers this afternoon when you guys are start ready to build, just dig this out and right here. Go run like the wind, brother. I bet you. Never a dull moment, Dave? Pardon? Never a dull moment?
Never.
I believe Scott's on 1. Scott's on 1. Yeah, we'll open up when you guys come out, but we don't want to open those up, otherwise you just get that one line. See those empty seats? I know you got hit in the head before, but I think you still count. You guys having fun? Here we go. All right. Nice job down in the corner there, guys. Nice job.
Smiling Joe Duncan. It's Pro Open qualifying. From Chicago, we return. Welcome back to the Windy City of Chicago and WSA Snocross. We want to take you back and take a look at Pro Open qualifying. This is round 2, heat number 1.
A lot of action in this one and a couple of major incidents that were quite interesting to watch. Right here, watch what happens here. An Ekstrom lands literally on the right side of Chris Vincent's sled. Fortunately got into the sled and not into Chris, although it did ding up his hand. You can see Chris shaking his hand a little bit. Just gave it a whack. Watch what happens here. Ekstrom just kind of got caught at the jump and pitched him sideways. Mid-air, tough to do much. Watch where that track and skis right down on Chris Vincent's hood and on the side. And it pitched Ekstrom off pretty violently. Vincent did the roll, got up shaking his hand. But Vincent gets back on, but you can see that he looks back at Ekstrom there and shakes his head like, what were you thinking? Now we move into round 2, heat 3. And this is a good one as well. Watch Morgan having a very solid run up in the front. There's Hibbert slotting to the second spot. And Tate right there gets by Hibbert. Now Hibbert fights back. Good action in this one. We're on board now looking backwards. Justin Tate's helmet cam. You can see Hibbert putting a lot of pressure on that gentleman right there as they continue to run it. Right there, he just came off. Hooked the ruck wrong. One of those berms hooked it and it just pitched him off. Sometimes it happens that fast. You're just suddenly looking for your tether trying to restart and get going again.
The pro action continues in heat 1 of the 3rd round.
You see a pretty even launch here, and this one was notable not so much for incidents, but because of a great battle which was going to develop. And again, Tucker Hibbert right in the mix of this one. Watch what starts to unfold here. There's Tucker. There's Noel Kohansky. Noel gets up on his shoulder. They both try and jam by 144 Shield. 17 Wolf right there as well. And Shield looks over his shoulder back at Tucker. He runs wide. Tucker goes underneath. Kohansky follows through. And I mean, these guys were running like this the whole time. Then Kohansky had a problem, fell back, side to side, bar to bar. Kohansky watching a great battle unfold in front of him right here. Here's Hibbert. There now is Shield. As Kohansky gets a run at Shield. It was this type of action through this entire race. Just amazing stuff these guys have done.
Remember, too, we've been keeping track of Nathan Titus and his recovery. Well, here in Chicago, there's a new wrinkle to that whole situation.
Yeah, we got here Friday afternoon. Got the trailer set up, waited for parking. Had to do some work on the sleds. We were waiting to get everything set up. Finally, about 4, I decided to go get my leg checked. Like I said, every time I rode, it kind of would push the staples through the skin and just try to bleed on me. And wasn't really worried about that. And then about Wednesday, it kind of got red, and I didn't think much of it, figured it'd go away. And by Friday, it hadn't gotten any better. It was just this big kind of red spot around where the scratch was on my leg. So I just ran to a hospital over here. I was like, yeah, you know, let's go get it checked. I figured I'd go in, get some antibiotics, and they'd send me out of there for a small infection. And they proceeded to check me in and do surgery on me Saturday morning to cut out all the infection. And while they were in there, they removed the staples since they said that would only increase the likelihood of continuing the infection. So I had surgery yesterday morning, and I've been in the hospital till this morning. They let me out, and I just got out here to watch the mod final.
Paul, at the preceding race, we showed you what happened to TJ Gooley. Here's another look at it. His engine actually cutting out right as he launched that big tumble right there. He ended up with a substantial hit to his chest. He checked in with his teammate Chris Vincent about how TJ's doing.
TJ's doing actually really well, better than we all expected. When we had first heard he was going to be out for a month, and he's had further tests and x-rays. And I guess what has happened is from the impact, he didn't break any bones in his chest at all, but just from the impact, it tore his lung. But they're expecting to be back within 2 weeks, and we're really excited to have him back, and we're missing him a lot. And he'll be back and strong, and I talked to him last night, and he's really anxious to get back here and do some more racing.
And when we return, we'll be watching Chris Vincent and the rest in the Pro Open Last Chance Qualifier. Now, Pro Open Last Chance Qualifier. Chris Vincent, one of those that has to try to work his way into the top 4 and move then on to the Pro Open Final.
Like literally in this Pro Open LCQ because of that incident he had with Ekstrom. It took him out of the finish, a good finish, and his point situation put him right back into this LCQ, so he's got his work cut out for him. He got a decent hole shot second. Shabitsky a great start, and notice a couple of Yamahas a little further back in the pack, both of them in the LCQ.
Carl Shabitsky takes the lead. Chris Vincent drops into second place. The look back, there's Shabitsky, Vincent. Battle is for third place.
Oh, huge! That's number 4, Hyde, and he got clipped in the back, and the guy's ski got stuck there, and as he drove through it, spun Hyde around. Boy, now that's going to park him at dead last, and as far back as you can get from his erstwhile teammate here, Shabitsky, the lead. Boy, Vincent put a lot of pressure on him.
Oh, Vincent is on a charge. He moves high. There's the battle for third place coming through behind him.
I'll tell you what, Yuji Nakazawa, we saw a glimpse of him in the 5th spot. With that incident with Hyde, that was where Brown moved up into the top 3, but Nakazawa was dead last off the line, Paul. He has moved into 5th, right there. Last, that second blue Yama into your screen. He is absolutely flying right now with Marcel at 4th. That's the battle to be watching.
Yeah, you get a glimpse of him time to time, and now he moves into 4th. So Yuji Nakazawa is coming forward and holds that transfer point.
Yeah, on the bubble right now with Marcelik in 5th. Nakazawa's got the transfer, and it's going to be interesting now. We have 2 Yamahas. They've been struggling a little bit. We haven't seen them in the finals as of late. If this holds like this, we'll have 2 of them in the major Pro Open final here in Chicago. They need a result like this.
Now take a look at that leaderboard. Polaris, Ski-Doo, Yamaha. That's interesting. Nice mix-up of manufacturers back to the battle for third, as Yuji Nakazawa begins to work on Brown.
Yeah, parity. It's nice to see that indeed. And right, Nakazawa, early in the season, he was extremely fast, and then he sort of tailed off. David Brown, of course, had that horrific injury at the opening round at Duluth to his ankle. Came back much quicker than anybody ever expected. But Nakazawa, in the meantime, has sort of tailed off a little bit. We were wondering what happened to Yuji. Well, he's back. He is running very efficiently right now.
Again, we look back to that battle between 5 and 36, Brown and Nakazawa. When you saw the leaders, Shabitsky and Vincent, come through, you see Vincent's not making up that much room or time on the leader, Carl Shabitsky.
Yeah, he seems to be riding pretty smart, just taking it easy. Now, right here, Nakazawa's starting to pressure Brown, and I really think Brown's not going to fight that too much for the simple reason that while he's out there, he's racing, he's not 100% with that ankle. It's still pretty stiff. He knows he's got the transfer locked up at this point. We've talked about this so many times. And I think if Yuji shows him his nose and wants to get real racy, Brown will let him slide through. He knows there's nobody that close behind Yuji. He's not going to fight a teammate, perhaps take them both out and re-injure that ankle in any way, shape, or form.
Man, least we forget, Carl Schuster sitting there, 47C. He's in 5th place. Look at this fight, though. Wow, it just continues on and on.
Yeah, there was Yuji, made that inside move. You saw Brown gave him a lot of room. Didn't want any contact. Let Yuji go. Dave's really thinking here because he doesn't want to re-injure that ankle. It's not 100%, and he knows he's going to be going to that final unless something were to happen here, because Booster's in 5th, as you pointed out, but a ways behind those guys yet.
Final 3 laps of the run now. Chris Vincent in 2nd place and seems to be falling just a little further and further back with every lap.
Did you hear his sled as he went through there? It sounded kind of burbly. I don't know. It just didn't sound quite right. We'll have to watch that, but he looks back. He's concerned about something.
Chris Vincent must be concerned about Yuji, who's slowly closing in. 2 laps to go now, and I'm not so sure that this last chance qualifier is particularly over just yet.
Well, Vincent certainly catching some huge air off of that big finish line jump into the first turn. There's Yuji, there's Brown, and Kuster has in fact closed it up, Paul. Now Brown has to fight. If he wants to get to the final, now it's time for him to get tough and start pushing.
Back to second place, Chris Vincent. Shabitsky, he's gone. He starts the final lap. Focus is going to be back here second, third, fourth, and to some degree fifth.
There's Vincent, and that's the margin. First to second, that Arctic Cat down a lap to everybody else. And then here's Brown, Yuji, and Kuster. It's that close in that battle for second, third, fourth, and fifth.
Nakazawa sits in third place, Brown right behind him. Shabitsky, well, he's got clear sailing. Looks like there's no question he's going to transfer. There's the checkered flag. And, oh, look at this. Chris Vincent has pulled to a stop. Everybody goes around. Chris Vincent will not transfer.
So Nakazawa gets a second, Brown in third, and for Carl Kuster, it may be a couple months afterward, but he got a Christmas present, as on the last lap, he moved into that final transfer spot and makes the trip to the final, albeit the back row still. He's there.
There are the four that transfer, but what a shock for Chris Vincent. He's not going to make it on to the final. It will be the final in Pro Open when we come back. Harness racing most of the year here at Hawthorne Park in Chicago. Chicago Motor Speedway right behind it. But right now it's Snocross. And it's the final in Pro Open. There's the front row. And the second row as determined by the last chance qualifier.
If you look to the right of the screen, inside if you will, right there, Hibbert all the way to the inside, Morgan right next to him, both of them electing tight inside lines, and it's a very busy start line.
So the three caps on the inside, the third made up by Epson. Oh, look at that!
Whoa!
Hibbert and Morgan get together and get together hard.
Coming off the line, it looked like Morgan just leaned over on the Hibbert trying to force him out. And the Hibbert had no option, had to kind of lean back. He still ended up hitting one of those tough boxes, but you can't give in that situation. He had to fight back. It cost him a little bit.
The look back from Aaron Shield. I'll tell you what, does that signal the beginning of the end in conversational relationships between two guys?
Well, Morgan certainly was trying to make a point. It sure looked like right off the line that he would do what he needed to do to get out front. And Hibbert obviously said, no, I'm going to fight back. And they're 1-2 right now with Hibbert just about 5-6 lengths behind Morgan. But we haven't seen that before. I think that's a definite development.
The lack of gentlemanly conduct we may have now seen. Certainly the rivalry is showing a lot of pressure, perhaps more to Blair than it is to Tucker. Tucker now comes in, attacks Blair Morgan.
Little bump.
Outside, another little bump there. In fact, it almost puts Tucker off course.
Tucker, though, he was trying an outside move, and Morgan, he can defend his line a little bit. He just ran a little wide on the exit, and that forced Tucker to go out a little bit. But look at that counter move. Coming into the next turn, Tucker cut right underneath him, set him up a little bit. And you see how Morgan ducked his head when that roost was coming up? He sensed it coming, got that big visor down low just in case it hit him. So it hit the visor and fell off. Doesn't get to the goggles. That's so crucial.
Yeah, much to his chagrin, Morgan is now learning how to ride in second place. So Tucker Hibbert has the lead.
I'll tell you, the guy in third right now, Paul, Ken Ibsen, is staying right with those three. Remember the opening round in Duluth, Minnesota? He ran down Morgan in that Pro Open final and passed him. Then Morgan's sled broke and he had more problems. But when Ibsen is on form, he is very quick and he is putting a lot of pressure on Morgan right now.
I'll tell you what, I love that onboard camera. There's the interval back to Morgan. And then, as you mentioned, Greg, Ibsen right behind him, then Trevor John, Carl Shabitsky follow.
Rounding up the top five, and Trevor John, obviously he's applying pressure to Ibsen, and that's forcing him to run quicker still. And actually it looks like Morgan may have pulled away just a little bit now with Ibsen, but boy, Tucker Hibbert is putting on a little bit of a clinic here. I think that may have lit a fire in him. You see that red mist, if you channel it after Morgan leaned on him, if you channel it, that could really pay off for you.
Now that's an amazing interval in Pro Open for here in the early laps of the run. This is a great battle for second. It's actually a three-way battle. There's Ibsen. Ibsen grabs it from Morgan.
Boy, Ken Ibsen is absolutely hooked up here.
You know, it's a point now. I was going to say, you got to ask what's going on with Morgan.
He's off.
Mechanical, unbelievable, and there's Ibsen. Oh, what a major change. Bring Trevor John up to second.
That was unbelievable. He got into him, and it literally knocked the back Ibsen sled right out from underneath him, and Ibsen ended up sitting in the snow. It was a very sudden hit, and Morgan's suspension's gone again. Watch it, Paul. You watch the back of that. It sits way too low, and it's just bouncing freely again. I got to think another shock has let go.
With Carl Shabitsky and Morgan going back and forth at each other, there's our onboard camera, Aaron Shield, as he tries to get back in the fight after a quick off.
Boy, so that's going to move Trevor John up to second. There's Morgan in third, and Shabitsky starting to put a lot of pressure on him. But look how when he hits a bump, you see how that seat totally flattens out? Let's go back, though, and take a look at this replay. This is the contact with Ibsen. Ibsen is in front, coming into the turn. Morgan just streams in, boom! Clouds him. You can see it just knocked the back of Ibsen's sled away while he was in the air. You can do nothing about that, and Ibsen's off.
So the Windy City is going to be one place that Blair Morgan may not want to visit again. We'll be back with more. In Chicago, continuing coverage now of Pro Open. Tough blocks all over the course. There's the rundown on the top of the field. Tucker Hibbert still well out. Ahead of second place, Trevor John.
Trevor doing an awesome job out there as we're getting a good look at Morgan there. There's Shabitsky, who sits in fourth. And the amazing thing, Paul, is he's still chasing Blair Morgan. Here's a good look at Trevor, but Morgan, with that suspension broken, is doing an unbelievable job of controlling that sled. And as I said, if you watch it, when it settles down, it goes all the way down. That track almost disappears. But then when it rebounds, what's happening, it's all on the spring. And without the shock working to dampen the rebound, if you will, how quickly that spring recoils back, it really turns it into a pogo stick, and it's just his ability and his understanding of the physics of these sleds that's keeping Morgan right here in the hunt. Unbelievable race.
Yeah, we watched Morgan with Shabitsky right behind him, and Trevor John sitting in second place. Now, you will have noticed, of course, that Tucker Hibbert has had to work his way through backmarker traffic, and that's something that he hasn't seen all that much this year, is having to come up on the back end of somebody's sled. Trevor John, what a nice ride this is for number 85.
Well, he got through that early stuff very nicely, slotted in a second when Morgan had his problems, and he's just checked out. And, of course, we watched Shabitsky trying to get around Morgan. Shabitsky might be a little quicker than Morgan on that wounded sled, but Blair is driving such great lines that he's not giving Shabitsky any opening. And when it parks Shabitsky in terms of momentum, he has to ramp it up again, catch Morgan, and then deal with it again. This could truly be one of Morgan's great drives of all time. It may not look like it in the results, but it's awesome.
Yeah, he'll race harder for this third place, should he stay there, than he's raced for many a championship victory.
Very true. And I mean, Trevor John, what an awesome story. As we talked about it earlier at Deadwood, South Dakota, he finally broke through with that big podium. He hadn't really been at the front since his bronze medal at X a couple of years ago. He's got that third there, now to be running second here and in the hunt. Well, it's just a great turnaround, not just for Trevor, but for Polaris. Awesome to see.
Tucker Hibbert is clear of the traffic now, clear sailing toward the finish. But remember, we've already seen some... Todd Tupper is off. I was about to say that we've seen today some rather interesting occurrences in the last couple laps. We may be seeing that once again.
Well, everybody's getting a little tired. You know, you're running down near the end of these motos. You've been out there all day qualifying for Pro Stock, all the action that's been happening. I mean, it's a long day for these guys. See Noel Kohansky running, the hood has come off of his sled. He sits there in fifth. It's been an intriguing race.
Tucker Hibbert takes a look back to see who is close to him, if anyone at all, and the answer is no one, and the way is clear. Carl Shabitsky can sense now the possibility of a podium finish. Only he can nail Blair Morgan in these final laps.
You see the white, so Tucker is already well into his final lap. That gives you the idea of his margin.
And here it is, with a tremendous lead. Tucker Hibbert takes the Pro Open final in Chicago. Trevor John with a career best second place, and now Look at that. Blair Morgan, what an incredible ride that is, as he's able to hold on to third place, and that brings Chavitsky home in fourth.
It's an incredible run. Now, there were some awesome moments to go back and look at in this one. Right here, Tucker Hibbert ramping down. Look at the outside move he's going to use. Sweeps way outside. Morgan protecting the inside. Tucker says, fine, let's see what we can do here. They come around right there, a little nudge, and it forced Tucker a little bit wider, and Morgan just exits way wide. He wants to take that lane away from Tucker. Does it beautifully. But later in that lap, Tucker cuts to the inside at the exit of that final turn over the big finish jump. The inside line works for him. A couple laps later, Morgan in second, Ibsen in third. Ibsen got the nose inside, nice and clean, makes the pass. Morgan tries to cut back. Ibsen, a little bit too much exit speed, holds on to it. However, Morgan tries to get back around Ibsen and clubs him, knocking the back end of Ibsen's sled clean out from under him while he was airborne. As they continue on, Ibsen ends up standing up after he got parked in the snow. And a little bit later, Trevor John around the outside of Morgan. This was when that suspension, see how flat that got it? Just it totally disappears. And that's how Trevor John picked up second.
And what we saw today was an escalation, as we look at the final results, to a new level of competition between Morgan and Tucker Hibbert. Jerry?
Folks, we're not
Tucker, all I can say is you decimated the competition. You're about a third of a lap away from lapping second.
Yeah, I don't know, it's just crazy, man. I'm so pumped to be out here and riding. This is awesome. 2 finals, just couldn't ask for anything more.
That was a sweet inside move on Blair Morgan to take the lead.
Yeah, it was great. You know, we were doing some dice in there, and it's just awesome. You know, we're having so much fun out here. Just super pumped.
All right. Good job, brother. Way to see it.
Thanks.
And of course, that has a tremendous impact on the point standing, putting Blair Morgan and Tucker Hibbert head to head. Now, we go back to Jerry Bernardo.
We're having a little bit of a mechanical issue here with the old Octocat. What was the problem in the mod final?
My shock went away again, and I don't know, it went right away. So the rest of the race, I was just using my legs as suspension.
What's it like to do that? I mean, these things are just a handful just to ride, and you're out there with no rear suspension.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It was really fast. It's like a shot going out on a bike. It was just pogoing really fast. So I had to be careful out there not to go over the bars.
Yeah, you used all your skills to stay on the podium, though.
Yeah, I'm totally stoked getting third. I thought I was going to get last like the 440, so I'm really happy with third.
All right, good job, man.
Thanks, Jerry.
And so congratulations once again to Tucker Hibbert. Back-to-back wins on the same day, Pro Stock, Pro Open, and don't forget, too, this really nice ride of Trevor John. He had a great day, came home with a career-best second place. There's Trevor. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. I'm Paul Page for Greg Kramer and Jerry Bernardo. Thanks for joining us. And don't forget, for more about WSA Snocross,